Statute barred is a law term that means a lender has run out of time to use certain types of action, like the court, to make you pay the debt. It depends on what type of debt it is, but usually the statute barred term is 6 years. Unsecured credit debts like personal loans, catalogues, credit cards and store cards, they fall under the Statute Barred Limitation Act. Again, the start date of the time frame can vary, but it's usually after a default notice expires. There is a catch with statute barred. If you've already been issued with a CCJ, that's a county court judgment, then it doesn't count, and the creditor has as much time as they want to chase the money. The other catch is that it doesn't apply to all debts, like tax and mortgages, for example. Once a debt is statute barred, it doesn't mean that it goes away and disappears. It's just legally unenforceable, so you can't be taken to court for it. You can pay it off if you want to help your credit score. If you get asked to pay this debt again, telling the creditor it's statute barred should mean that they leave you alone. If you live in Scotland, the rules are slightly different. Statute barred is usually over a 5-year period instead of 6 for things like credit cards and personal loans. But for mortgage and council tax debts, it's 20 years. If you've got debts and you feel overwhelmed, don't worry, there are options available to you, even if your debts aren't statute barred. Some of these solutions might mean that you don't have to pay the debt in full. I'll run through them quickly here. Now, there are pros and cons, but there may be one or two that work out for you. So first up, debt management plans. They're an informal agreement that you make with the creditors to pay back your debts at a lower and more affordable rate. Normally, that means paying less each month, but over a longer time frame. The catch is that you can't include all your debts in a debt management plan. So things like credit card debt, personal loans and an overdraft, they can all go in. But court fines and mortgage arrears sadly can't be part of it. Next is debt relief orders. They freeze your debt payments for a full year, and then if your situation hasn't changed after 12 months and the debt's written off, you make no payments towards a debt in 12 months and interest isn't added. Pretty good, right? Sadly, debt relief orders have strict eligibility criteria. So, for example, you can't own anything of significant value like a house, and you can't have more than £2,000 in savings. Another option is offering a final settlement. If you happen to have access to a large lump sum, you can offer that to the debt collectors or the creditors they work for. It might not be for the full amount you owe, but sometimes they'll be willing to write off the remaining debt because you'll be saving them the time chasing you down for payments each month. Unfortunately, getting your final settlement offer agreed might not be that simple, and your creditor could simply refuse. Individual voluntary arrangements are another way to deal with debt collectors. It's a formal agreement between you and your creditors to reduce your payments to one simple payment each month. It lasts for 5 years, and at the end, any remaining debt's written off. Again, like with all these options, there are catches, and IVAs are legally binding, so you'll need to keep up with the terms that you agree to, otherwise you could be back to square one. Bankruptcy is probably the most famous option. You may already know, but with bankruptcy, all your assets are reviewed and some may be sold off to pay back your debt. After a year, any remaining debt will be written off. Of course, bankruptcies have some obvious downsides, mainly that some of your belongings may be sold to pay for your debt, and your credit score will become very low. Paying back your debts, whether in full or using a method that I mentioned earlier, will ensure that you keep the debt collectors at bay. One simple step that you could take today is to find out if any of those debt solutions I mentioned could work for you. In the description of this video, I've linked to a form on my new website. It's got a few multiple choice questions like how much debt do you owe and how many people do you owe. At the end of the form, it'll connect you to a company that I've partnered with to provide you with all the information that you need about debt solutions that are available. So click the link below, check it out, and let me know how you get on.